What HTTP/3 means for websites. Most people never think about how a website actually travels from a server to their screen. They only notice one thing, whether it loads fast or whether it feels frustrating. Behind that experience is a set of rules called HTTP, and HTTP/3 is the newest version of those rules. So what does HTTP/3 actually mean for websites, and should you care? To understand that, it helps to look at the problem older versions of HTTP were trying to solve. Traditional HTTP connections were built in a way where requests lined up and waited their turn. If one request stalled, maybe because of a slow image or a weak network, everything behind it waited too. This worked fine years ago, when websites were simpler. But modern websites are heavy. They load images, fonts, scripts, videos, and third-party tools all at once. HTTP/3 changes how those requests move. Instead of sending everything through a single, fragile pipeline, HTTP/3 allows multiple requests to move independently. If one resource slows down, it doesn't block the rest of the page. The result isn't a dramatic visual jump. It's a smoother, more consistent loading experience, especially on real-world networks. And real-world networks are important here. Most visitors aren't on perfect connections. They're on mobile data, public Wi-Fi, or unstable networks. HTTP/3 is designed to handle packet loss and connection changes much better than older protocols. If a connection drops briefly or switches networks, the page doesn't need to restart loading from scratch. It simply continues. That's why HTTP/3 doesn't feel like a flashy upgrade. It feels like reliability. For a normal website, a business site, blog, or portfolio, HTTP/3 won't suddenly make your homepage load twice as fast. What it does instead is reduce friction. Pages feel more responsive, especially for visitors on slower or less stable connections. Over time, that consistency improves user experience, engagement, and trust. There's also a subtle SEO angle. Search engines don't rank sites higher just because they use HTTP/3. But they do care about real user signals, things like loading stability, interaction delay, and bounce rates. HTTP/3 helps indirectly by improving how reliably pages load across different devices and networks. One important thing to understand is that HTTP/3 doesn't work in isolation. It needs the right server setup to actually deliver value. If a host doesn't support it properly, the benefits disappear. That's why it's becoming a standard feature in modern hosting environments, rather than something you configure manually. This is where infrastructure matters. Hosting providers like TrueHost support HTTP/3 as part of a broader performance stack that includes modern web servers, optimized networking, and cloud-based resources. In that kind of environment, HTTP/3 isn't a checkbox feature. It's part of how the server communicates efficiently with visitors around the world. So should every website worry about HTTP/3? If your website is small and simple, HTTP/3 won't change your life overnight. But if your site matters to your business, if you care about consistency across devices, and if your visitors are coming from varied network conditions, HTTP/3 quietly improves the experience without demanding anything from you. That's really the theme here. HTTP/3 isn't about hype speed. It's about resilience. It's about making websites behave better under imperfect conditions, which is how the internet actually works. Most users will never know your site is using HTTP/3. They'll just know it feels smooth. And in the long run, that feeling is what separates a website that works from one that people trust.